All right, Clint of The Doorway too, hanging out with Jaime from There Were Wires. So I appreciate this very much. I am a new fan to you guys. Like Vessel is the first record I heard, and I went backwards. So I might be very different than other fans that or people that I've talked to before. So I kind of am going to ask things probably in a different fashion than most people, being that I've literally only heard your band in the last couple months. So,
That's great. I love that actually.
Cool, cool. So why don't you kind of tell everybody what you do in the band first of all, so they can kind of know who we're talking to.
I am the vocalist in the band There Were Wires, and that's all I do. I don't play any instruments. I've always just been the talentless guy that just screams his head off. That's it.
I don't know if I'd call you talentless, but that's awesome. You say it that way. So the first
Keeps
question
me
I'm going to have,
humble.
yeah, the first question I'm going to have is probably a question you've been asked a million times before, but I want to know. There Were Wires. Where did the name come from? Because it's a really interesting name to say the least. So.
When we were first starting the band, we were kind of just unsure of a band name. There was early, it was 90s when we put the band together.
Yeah.
And so coming up with a name was just kind of I don't know, it's kind of a hassle. Nothing ever really like stuck. And it was never, I mean, from that early time, we didn't think we were gonna do a whole lot with it. So it wasn't a deep thought to have a important band name or anything. But it became There Were Wires when we were really trying to figure out what we wanted to do. And my younger brother cut his finger very badly with I think maybe a X-Acto knife or something like that. And he went to the hospital, and I went with him. And as he was getting stitched up and taped back together, I was roaming the halls in the hospital, and there was pictures, like crayon pictures
Mhm.
of kids, and their artwork was on the walls. And one of them kind of just struck me, and it said, it was this really sad drawing that this little girl did, and it said, "They measured my heartbeat. There were wires. They were cold." And
Oh,
that was and that was it. And I don't know, and then just that phrase, "There were wires," stuck with me. And yeah, and everybody liked it, and we thought it was just kind of like strange enough, and no one would ever duplicate that name. It's a wholly original thing. And yeah, everybody liked it, and we stuck with it. And I never thought it was like a genius thing or anything, but I liked that it was something unique and a little unnerving and strange for a band name.
no, it's definitely cool. It's different. I dig it very much.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, no problem. So I want to kind of talk about the mix of sounds that I hear, especially off the brand new record. So the reason why I wanted to talk to you guys, and the reason why I like the record so much, and I kind of praised it in a kind of a review that I do, is you guys mix elements of like so many different kinds of music that I grew up loving. So like Jawbox, like Rodan, like Dead Guy, like I'm even gonna say bands like Povo and like and there's like and like of course Neurosis and stuff like that. Like those
Mhm.
are those are no kidding. Yeah, we get it. All right. But you mix all this stuff into something that you make very much your own. Was it hard, like mixing like the indie rock kind of noisy indie rock style with like the post metal and hardcore, or was it always something you guys wanted to do?
I think I think we progressed in stages so that it didn't feel so much like we were trying to jam a bunch of things into a particular song. I think um, our our style evolved pretty giant leaps in succession to our records, and we are not a super prolific band at all. Like we are a working class band. We always have been. Work always came first. Everything we did as a band was really like just a sole effort of us wanting to be there, wanting to play, and yeah, it came along very, very naturally, I would say, to incorporate a lot of these influences that we've had, and we're also just very different people, you know, that like I love my band members, and like these guys are great, and they're my best friends. um but we don't agree on everything, and so, you know, we have different tastes, and it kind of comes out in our music. And with Vessel, it is by far the most interesting mix of palettes, you know, and a lot of stuff that we were worried wouldn't work or wouldn't sound like there were wires or something like that. But in the end, it's I think of it as movements, you know,
Mhm.
the way that the songs progress throughout Vessel. And it also just has been a very, very long time since we had written you know, with purpose, over 23 years since our last record. So, uh, yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
just we all have a lot of ideas of what we like, and I think we're able to blend it together in a interesting way.
cool. Well, you kind of just loaded the next question up for me. I was just going to say, why after 2 decades do this all over again?
Jesus, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. The truth is that we had our second release re-released
Yeah.
in 2021 with our label Iodine Records. And when we did that, we decided, like, well, you know, we're getting people are excited about this. They're happy to have this on an LP, and, you know, have it released the way that we wanted to have it released. And so we decided to do a reunion show. And when we did the reunion show in Cambridge, it was, I think, by far the biggest show we had ever done, and it was sold out. And we didn't anticipate that at all. But we were just really sparked by it, you know, like it was honestly one of the most fun nights of my entire life, was going to a reunion show and playing. And, you know, not everything went perfectly, but it was just so fun, and we hadn't played in so long. And so I think after that we were like, let's see if we can like put some songs together. Maybe we can do an EP or a single or something, you know. I did not think we were going to be able to do an entire full-length record, but yeah, through a lot of adversity and a lot of really just a lot of concentration, we were able to get through it.
Cool. Very awesome. Uh, so we're going to talk about Vessels a little bit more, and then we're going to jump into what's Somnambulance, which is the album that I also heard after I listened to Vessel. But
That's
yeah,
great.
with Vessel, there's a very two-sided beast of this record, like when I listen to it. And I kind of want to see which side you feel more akin to now, being after having some time at it, being, you know, listening and growing with the record. Do you feel you're more of an indie rock band, or do you feel you're more of like a post-hardcore metal band now? Because there are mixtures of both throughout this record. So
Yeah, I would agree. I would say there's, you know, quite a stark difference between the A side and the B side
yeah,
in a lot of ways. And I think, you know, we it's hard because the writing is so different from person to person in our band. And I think we honestly, I think we kind of just own all of it, because
okay,
because nothing went on the record that anyone was really unhappy with. You know, it was there. I think we gave each other a lot of freedom to move around, and we give ourselves like permission to determine what There Were Wires sounds like in 2026, you know.
gotcha.
And I think that's really how we looked at it. It was just like, I think there was a worry that what does There Were Wires sound like? This doesn't sound like this There Were
Uh,
Wires. And my whole thing has always just been like, well, whatever we write is There Were Wires, and that's what it sounds like at this iteration. Um, but I do, I feel like, to answer your questions and not be, dragging it on, I think we're a post-hardcore band that's like become slower and more deliberate
okay,
than we ever were.
cool. No,
Yeah.
I can totally see it. I'm not going to disagree for a second. Um, so going from the first record, Somnambulist, to Vessels, the first record to me reminds me of a lot more of a hardcore record. Like I feel like it's like it has a lot more of that hardcore vibe, where Vessels does have a lot of indie rock. It has a lot of post metal. It has a lot of post hardcore elements in it. When you were recording 20 something years ago, that record, the original record, uh, did you just want to be the best like post hardcore band you could ever be? Was that what was in your mindset? Because you can hear on that record where Vessel is very much the next evolution of your band, even though it's 20 years later.
Yeah, that was a big jump for us. We were a very, you know, just chaotic hardcore
Yeah.
punk band when we started. And that was it. Short songs, fast and sweet. So a couple of mosh parts in there and get out. That was really what we did. Um, and it was all about playing shows. It wasn't so much about writing music. It was like
Mm.
just connecting with an audience and with our friends and peers and that sort of thing. And when Somnambulist came around, it was kind of a shock how just sort of how adult it sounded.
Okay.
We had just grown up a lot, and we were we were worried about maybe you know uh, isolating people away from what we were doing early on, because everybody loves fast,
Yeah.
punchy music. And we very deliberately kind of just went into this long, slower, more um glacial type of songwriting. Um, and yeah, and with Vessel, I think we just took it to a different level, where we're all so much older, and we've had so much life experience now that, I mean, I look back at those old records and those first like those very, very early demos that we
Yeah.
did. And I mean, we sound like kids, like really just like young kids with nothing to lose, and like no shame about anything. Like we just wanted to do it and be in it. And it's nice to be able to write as we're older, as we're all like in our mid to late 50s, and it's like you know um it feels crazy to be writing at all and doing this stuff. But we really just wanted to do it as a project. We wanted, because that's how we relate to each other.
Cool.
Like we're friends, and how we relate to each other is to write music together. And even though I am on the other side of the country from everyone else, I try to get over there whenever is necessary and make it happen. But yeah, these changes feel natural to me. I don't think we're trying to shoehorn any sort of writing into any,
Right.
particular way. So yeah, it's really nice to be in a band with very talented people who are, driven and like really want to push it to the utmost.
Cool. Yeah, I'm 53 myself, so I totally get it. Like, I've been writing music for 35 years, and you go back and look at you when you were 19. You're like, would 19-year-old Clint like what 53-year-old Clint is even doing? Like, yeah, yeah, you know, uh,
And very relatable,
yeah,
extremely relatable. Yeah.
yeah. No, it's very cool. So I guess I want you to kind of pigeonhole yourself for a second, because I want to know in your mind how you think. Like, let's say some kid just picks up Vessel for the very first time, and he's going to listen to it for the first time. He's never heard the band. He literally looks at the album cover and goes, "Oh, this is a kick ass album cover. I'm going to buy this record and listen to it." And let's just say you're there. He doesn't know. And he turns to you and he goes, "Do you know anything about this band? Do you know what they sound like? how would you explain your band to somebody who's never heard them before?
Oh my God. That's a very good very good question. uh it's that's that's difficult. You know, it's hard because you would want to, my inclination would be to compare it, right? To compare it with like it's like, oh, there's, do you know this band Neurosis?
Yeah.
Like, do you know, like, do you know Jawbreaker? Do you know, like, just
Yeah.
stuff like that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I would say it's a very weird, heavy, and perplexing record. I think it is. I think it's strange in a very great way. I think it's tense. Um, I think it's I think it's just this solid piece of art, that we just kind of brought in, and it kind of has to be digested a lot. I don't see people just listening to this record and just like, yep, I get it. I
Okay.
understand it completely, because there's so many different moods and tempos.
Yeah.
It's exhausted, it's very sad, it's based on grief and loss, and
Mhm.
that really is the core center of it. It's sad, it's also hopeful, it's angry, it's kind of all these things that that spread between the five of us, that we're all feeling in some way. And I would say it's an emotional piece of art that is just it's heavy in many different ways. That's the only way I could really
Cool.
describe it. Yeah.
No, that works. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about a particular song off of Vessel that like is my absolute favorite song, and it's gonna be my favorite, probably different than anybody else because I'm a weird guy that likes different kinds of music. Uh, so it's 1901 is my absolute favorite song on this record,
Hmm.
and I love the way. I think it's organs in the beginning. Now it could just be a guitar tone through a patch. I don't know, but it's this amazingly haunting organ tone, and then it becomes like every good part of ISIS records that I've ever heard in my life.
Mm.
Not Neurosis. Like this one really reminds me of like early ISIS, like when
Mm.
Aaron was really kind of trying to be different and weird and unusual and original. So like, can you kind of talk about that song a bit and like how it came to be and how
Oh,
does the band dig it? Like I like to say, things like that. So
it's very much one of my top songs. It is really my favorite song on the record. It's written about my it's really for in honor of my friend Jody Minnick, who died in 2014. He was one of my best friends since childhood, really my best friend. And but yeah, these guys did a really kind of amazing job on this. We really introduced keys and synths to this
mhm.
record, which is different. We had never done that before. And this was our first kind of construction of putting those together. And it kind of moved in segments, and as we were putting it together. But I think I love it because it's very, very ugly, and it's also very, very beautiful at the same time. Thomas's part, the sprinkling, beautiful notes at towards the end. Um, it it is one of my favorite songs, and I think it was the one that hit me the most. And I had a really hard time writing for it because I was very, very worried about not getting the lyrics right and getting the getting things across the way that I wanted to. Uh, but um, we all really helped each other out with this one, and there's a lot of voices on it, which I like. All throughout the record, there's a lot of voices, and that's very different. We shared a lot of the writing, a lot of the vocals, and it's busy, in this cool way. But I'm glad to hear you dig it. It's a special one for me for sure.
Cool. Yeah, it's got this very, and I say it in a non-religious way, but it's got this very spiritual vibe about it. Like after you listen to it, like it feels like your burdens disappear. I don't know how else to kind of explain like that, but that's kind of the way it is for me. So
I love that. I mean, it's like a cathartic thing,
yeah,
you're kind of uh burning away a lot of these negative feelings, and you're trying to like getting something out of it in a way that will make you feel better, that'll make you feel a little more less alone. Um, but I really appreciate that, and I was a huge fan of ISIS. Still were we were in Boston at the time, and we saw ISIS a
right.
million times, and all those Cave In and Converge, and like all those guys, we looked up to them so much, and we were like you know a a step below, because
Yeah.
we were just punky and very DIY and everything. But the all those bands really shaped who we were, and helped us see what's possible. And it was really cool to see. Actually, just recently, it's very cool to see uh, that Neurosis has
Yeah.
Aaron Turner in the
Yeah.
band now, which I thought that's such a like hometown boy does good type of thing, like that's like it's like winning the lottery. It's just so cool, and he deserves it.
Well,
He's been
there's
a
no one
creative force.
there's no one
There is
more
no.
perfect than him to be able to step into the situation that happened. So like
I agree.
yeah, it almost feels like it was meant to be. I agree. So like very cool.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
nice. Yeah, nice. So you've made a couple of videos for this record, and I kind of wanted to talk about that. Like, was that done purposefully? Like, did you want to kind of make it more of a visual record than just like a sonically, like sit down and put headphones on and listen to it? Or did you know that like most kids today watch videos and they're not really listening to a full record?
I mean, I just assume everybody's just like looking at everything just on their phone and the tiniest thing possible. That's the thing, is we're in a different era. Really, it's like no one has an attention span. No one has, it's and it's not just like, oh, these damn kids. Like all my friends are like that too. Like
Right.
just like little sound bites, everything quick and fast. But really, the truth of the music videos is, it wouldn't have been something that I would have been interested in doing, generally, especially in the somnambulist era, because it wasn't really a thing. But this was really the first time with Vessel. This is the first time we've ever really done a record release correctly, like the
Okay.
right way, where you go through all the channels, you do all your promotion this certain way, the record comes out slowly this way. And we just were like, okay, we'll just try it this way, because we're so used to being DIY, and we just, yeah, whenever the record's out, there it is. So it came out, and Iodine literally was just like, you should probably do some videos. Not only are they just cool to have, but you know people will be interested, and they will watch them. So we were able to get together with a guy, Jason Zuko, who's a photographer, and he did two of the videos with us, and he's amazing. And he did 1901 and the Carousel of Sickening Bliss, and then the other two we did ourselves.
Nice.
Still DIY to the core.
No, very cool. No, they're very cool videos. Like when you watch them, you can feel the aggression and the passion like in you guys when you're performing and stuff. So it's very cool.
Yeah, it
Um,
was different. I was a little uncomfortable with it, but the production crew was very, very cool, and they made us fully at ease, and felt very, actually did feel pretty natural towards the end. Yeah.
cool. So I kind of want to talk about the record itself for a second because this is the first time you have a second guitar player, right? You used to be a four, like just have one guitarist before this, right? Or did you have a
Nope.
second guitarist?
But we're always a five piece.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I
We
thought I
did
read
lose. We
that.
lost our guitarist after Somnambulist came out, and then we broke up.
Oh, okay. So it's a new guitar player then that's playing on this
Yes.
record.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the kind. I thought it when I was reading it. It said that it was you only had one guitar player before, but listening to Vessel, there are two very dynamically different guitar tones that go on. And I don't know if it's they each picked a tone and did their own thing or they kind of blended it together. But when you listen to the record, there's one that's very jangly and kind of angular. And then there's another guitar tone that I swear to God, they just step on a super muff pedal and just go to town. Like it's like it is the most dirty, noisy guitar tone. Like it is one step from a noise rock band. Like that's kind of what it reminds me of. Now,
I get
yeah,
it.
I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But there's also at other times where those two sounds kind of intertwine into each other and make this amazing kind of orchestra of like melodies and anger at the same time. When the album was being recorded, did you purposely, and I know you're not the guitar player, on the other side, but like as a band, did you guys purposely make sure that sometimes that angry tone was gone and the clean tone was there, and then sometimes it was mixed together between the both?
I can only speak to like, sorry, go ahead.
No,
Oh
no,
no,
that
I'm
was
sorry,
it.
it's feedback. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, I can really only go after what Thomas, guitar player, our longest running guitar player, and Joe, who is our newer guitar player, but we've known him forever, and we played with his band way back in the day, and he's an awesome guy. He's amazing. So I would imagine that because I literally don't pay any attention to the instrument and what's happening to it. I'm solely, just listening to like, okay, what do I write here? And that type of
mhm.
thing. But yeah, I think there was a concerted effort to kind of like make there be a difference between the two channels and the different guitars. Um, I mean, I think you can hear it even just right in the first part of All Paths Become the Road at the very beginning. It's just like,
Yep.
it's very heavy and dirgy, and then it comes in even more heavy and dirgy. Um, Joe, I would imagine Joe's, I think, would probably be the heavier of the guitars, and he did the solo, our first solo ever, on Massive House Fire towards the end. So yeah, that's the only way I can answer your question.
No, perfect. Thank you. Uh,
Yeah.
so I want to talk about the album cover of Vessels for a second because it is very introspective in when you look at it. Uh, was it something particularly that after you made the record that you picked, or was it something you already had and you kind of wrote songs towards that image? Like it's not an image that you would normally see for a band that makes this kind of music. So that's kind of like talk about it.
Yeah,
Talk about it.
yeah. This is one of my favorite things about this record in general, and the cover and the layout and the design and everything is that it was really all multifaceted effort to bring into the world. And uh, I think artwork is really tough for a lot of bands, especially if you're doing it yourself. And we have kind of had kind of like some creative control issues, for a long time, ever since we started, because we all have these big opinions and we're all artists to some extent, and um, kind of like wrestling with how do we create a good album cover, and is difficult. And this time we decided to kind of hand it off to someone else. And it was Thomas, our guitar player's wife,
Oh, okay.
Melissa Moses, and she's amazing. She's an artist. And so she does these things called photograms, which you can kind of see that these are this leaf pattern type of thing that's done. I don't even understand it, but it is an exposure um, to the sun left out. And then we designed around those photograms. I think Jeb did the yeah, I think he did the art for it, and then Ryan, uh our drummer, did the icon drawings for it.
Okay.
So the illustrations that are there are Ryan. So it's a mix of like three different people putting this all together and having their spin on it. But it all really comes down to the to Melissa being the one we went to and it's like, can you do something for us with this? And and it was something because we knew that this record was going to be about loss and dying, decay, and that sort of thing. And it really worked with the album cover. It was all very purposeful.
Nice.
And she's amazing. She's one of the best people, of all time. So we were lucky that she spent time with us to make finally a record that we were like really quite happy with. That was everybody was like 100% on board.
Oh yeah, I totally did. That's why I'm glad you got to talk about it. So thank you very much
Yeah,
for that.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah. So take this with a grain of salt. So I want to talk about something in a certain way, and it's going to be because you've moved me musically in a way that very few bands do. So bands like yours and bands like His Hero Is Gone and another band that I absolutely like. So in post-hardcore, my favorite band of all time is Kiss It Goodbye. All right. Like they are just absolutely my favorite band ever. Like I don't know why. They just spoke to me the first time. I like Dead Guy, but Kiss It Goodbye was just like a step above for me. Maybe it was just a fury or anger. But you mix like beauty, fury, emotion, passion, darkness, light all together in where like you're breaking the boundaries of what I would call what post-hardcore is, or I would call what post-metal is. So how did you get inspired to make an album like Vessels? Because it's not like anything else in 2026. And it's not me kissing your butt or anything like that. It's just me saying, like, literally, it is one of the most original records I've heard. And I like, there's you and a band called Truck Violence right now that are like my two favorite albums out there, period, in 2026. So can you kind of talk about that for me for a second? Because I feel like you're breaking the hardcore genre and making it something new.
I I mean that is so nice. Thank you. Like we really did not have any idea what the reception would be to this record. I think we all knew we liked it. We knew that it was hard fought, and like we tried very hard. And it was not easy. Um, but yeah, it's first I'll say Kiss It Goodbye and His Hero Is Gone are literally my top two favorite bands. Like, in terms of like the heavy thing. I listened to Dead Guy this morning on my walk with my dog. And I mean I love those early, like noisy, very thick. And there is something about Tim Singer and Kiss It Goodbye and his vocals, his approach, and just the depth of heaviness that they're able to reach. It is it is absolutely just the most pissed authentic thing you can imagine, and I I so much wanted to be like that type of singer early on. I wanted to be a vocalist that had like lots of power and like violent and that sort of thing. And it was that was my voice doesn't work that way. I have like I don't have a forceful voice in the way that a lot of these, like deathcore guys do. And the thing is, and I'm also just like over that type of vocal in general. I
Mhm.
don't listen to music that that's like Whitechapel where everything is just this like, like it, I don't want to be the most anymore. You know what I mean? Like we're the heaviest. We're the, you know, um Tim Singer destroys all of those
Right.
bands, like Dead Guy and Kiss Goodbye in general is just they're on a different path. And what's important is that they're on a path that is their own. And I feel like with Vessel, we are on a path that
Yeah.
is our own. And you have to be willing to risk fans. You have to be willing to risk, that people aren't going to get it. You have to, you have to risk a lot to just
Yeah.
do what feels authentic to you. And for me, for a vocalist that hadn't sang in over 20 years, haven't used his voice at all, it was really, really hard. And I was very, very nervous about it. Um, and yeah, I even forgot what I totally forgot what your initial question was, but ultimately, all we can say is that Kiss It Goodbye rules.
It was just, do you feel like you're breaking a new boundary in a path? And you already said it. You already talked about it there. So you answered it while you were talking to me. It's fine. Yeah. No, I
It is, yeah. I mean, I think it came naturally to us. We really wanted to do. We didn't want to sound like There Were Wires sounded in 2003. We just wanted to
mhm.
sound like what was authentic to us, and the way that we wrote, the things that we added and included, I think broke through a large boundary, as well as just becoming, less speed, more emotional um, content to it, and uh, and being willing to have strange atmospheric aspects to it that normally wouldn't show up on anything, in our
Very
earlier material.
No, very cool. So
Yeah.
this is going to be the part of the interview where I start making you think a little bit harder. So I apologize in advance, man.
It's okay. I'm not very smart, so I'll try.
Cool, cool. So have you, in review, video, written, or whatever, have you seen anything or watched anything where literally it's now put Vestal in a different light for you than what you expected people to think of the record? Like, did you get something? Did somebody say something positive or negative? I don't care. That like just was like, oh, geez, I never thought of it like that, and now I do.
You know, to be honest, I haven't looked at a lot of anything in
Okay.
terms of what people have maybe written or said. I've certainly seen a lot of people that um, you know, folks from back in the day that were just, that were very excited that we were making the record, and then when they heard it, we got lots of very nice feedback.
Cool.
Um, and you get the, like, this is album of the year and so, stuff like that, which is, it's really nice to hear because we put a lot of effort into it, and it's nice to get good feedback. But we're also not really, uh, we're not driven by praise, um we're not really driven by any sort of negative feedback either. Like, we set out to do this record and just have it be for us. And we kind of talked about that, where it was like, who is this record for? And it was very clear it was just this, kind of ever closing,
Mhm.
circle of this insular feeling that we had, and this sort of, this kind of feeling like we had missed a lot of time, and we're kind of mourning all that time that we missed. And we're just going to be here and be in the present, write it, and however it comes out, that is just going to be what it is. And so far, people have been very, very kind. And we love it, but we're also still we're a very small band. We don't really expect to get on. We don't expect to be on everybody's radar. Um, we hope this record just gets in the hands of the people that need to hear it and would
Mhm.
want to hear it and would appreciate how bizarre and um, interesting. I think the music is very interesting. Um, and it really, we gave it our best shot to have it be like, if this is the last record we ever do, I'm fully happy with that.
Nice. That's very
Yeah.
cool. I think Iodine loves it. I'm just going to tell you, just from like the way they present it and like the way it's getting exposed out there. I think your label is beyond ecstatic. So they're trying to get it to as many people as possible. So that's a really cool
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. So
It's a different
it's a different
era.
era.
In that this kind of era is different, it's hard to kind of walk back into it,
Mhm.
into this kind of like, all right, we're labels and like and promotion and all that stuff. It's really kind of foreign to me, to be honest, and I did most of this record. I went back I think I went back 3 times to the East Coast to do whatever we had to do for the
Okay.
record. Um,
Um,
and I've spent most of my time here solo, screaming in my friends' warehouses and their little cabins, where to get vocal practice and, figure out the lyrics and that sort of thing. So
nice.
it's been a lonely time for me in some ways because everybody else is over there and I have a different outlook on it. It's a sad kind of record for me, like I can't even like I'm about to cry talking about 1901,
Wow.
because I have this I just such this affinity and I miss my friend so bad. But it's nice to really feel things again, and like feel like, oh, like
Good.
it's great when your own songs make you cry, because it's like you're so in it. And yeah, the whole thing is really just a trip. And I'm just so happy for these guys, like Ryan and Jeb and Thomas and Joe. They're like brilliant guys. And there is no chance of me getting through it without lots and lots of help and encouragement from them. So um, they really are like they did a Herculean amount of work to like bring this record into the world, much more than I did. But I was happy that everyone was happy with my performances and that sort of thing. But yeah,
Good.
it is just it's a different thing than anything else I can point to.
Cool. So here's the big thinking man question I'm going to hit you with.
Mhm.
So, I'm glad that you're emotional about this record because I am too, and that's a very cool thing. But if you could have any artist or any band take one of your songs, make it their own, record it, make it not, it's not going to be, there were wires. It's going to be them. What band or artist would you want to take, and what track would you want them to do it with?
Wow, that's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
I'd have to think about that for a minute.
If you want to come back to it, that's fine. Well, we can come back to it. That's not a problem.
I think, well, it's funny because Jeb was talking about doing like remixes of some of the tracks.
There you go.
And I actually think he has a list of them and a bunch of people that had said yes, that they'd love to do it. Um, I think whatever whoever would do it, I would love to hear a remix of Unraveling Light.
Okay.
The long, longer sludgy. That's one of my favorite tracks on the record, and I think it's kind of surprising and interesting, but it's also just dynamic and huge in this way that I think is cool. Um, yeah, that's like I think it would be interesting. God damn it. I mean, there's so many people that like part of me is like, oh yeah, well just give it to Steve Von Till, but but it's like I don't oh man, it's hard to say. Maybe I'd give it to Aaron Turner, just
Nice.
for all the influences over the years, because I think he could do something pretty amazing with it. His band Sumac is very cool, and I like just how outside the box that is too.
Very cool. No, awesome.
Yeah.
So The last question I'm going to ask, and I'm going to let you kind of take the podium for a minute, is
Sure.
at the end of the day, if this was indeed your last record, and like it would, there were wires is done, like there's no more, you all, and you're ending on a great note, like like you're all happy, this is the great record you did. What do you want to be remembered for most as a band?
I it's funny. I think having a legacy is an interesting thing, like I think it's important to try. And there's uh this great song um that's called The Farewell Transmission, and has the lyrics that are just like, we're all supposed to try. And
Mm-hmm.
the way he sings it, and the way it comes across, it's just like, oh, just this gut punch, and like that, just that thought of like, we just tried our best, and we made something that we were proud of. And I don't have kids, I'm never going to have kids, but somewhere down the line, like 100 years from now, somebody will find Vessel in a box,
Right.
in a box of records, big, what the fuck is this? Check it out. And that's enough for me. I just love that there's some little thing out there. There's some little like nugget of creativity that I did with my friends, my very, very talented friends that I love. And that's that's really, that's more than enough for me. I'm not interested in being famous. I'm not interested in touring. I'm not interested in being like an important person in any way in terms of music. It's just I, you know, I went I went through this whole thing with my friends just because I love them and I wanted to like create something with them. And that's it. And if nobody ever hears it, if it's fine. I'm glad it came out the way it did. I think it came out great, but you know, I'm not bent on having it be like #1 album on the charts. And I just don't care about that. I think we just care about different things than a lot of people do.
Yeah, no, I'm very similar. So I've always said the philosophy when I make music, I would rather have 100 people that give a shit than 10,000 casual listeners. Like
Yeah.
that's the way it's always been for me too. So no, I don't disagree. So I'm gonna leave it here for you like this. What's going on with the band over the next 6 months, year? Are you gonna work on another record? Are you gonna do any shows at all? Like what's the game plan?
Believe it or not, we haven't really talked too much about it. We
Okay.
after the record came out and it was fully released, it's just been kind of quiet. Not for any reason in particular, like I think everybody just kind of like went back to work and got back to normal
Yeah,
life and that sort of thing. We're not doing the usual like, okay, drop a record and now we're on tour for,
right.
5 months. We're just not, we just don't do that. We all have our own businesses and lives and that sort of thing. So um but I would imagine there'd be a show down the road, like we would I I think we would have to put a little bit of a thought together to how to play this record in a live setting because it is, it is different, but I know we can do it. I would love to play a show. I wouldn't mind writing more music. We actually have a million other demos that are out there. The ones that, the songs we kind of pulled from on this record were the most interesting and challenging ones, I think. But we have tons of other tracks that are, you know, skeletons there. And yeah, we're gonna see. No one's pushing us to do anything, which is nice. We kind of said like, don't make us do anything after this record, because we're busy people. But I would be happy to do a show. I'd be happy to write more if that's what everybody wants to do. The important thing is just that if everybody wants to do it, you know.
Gotcha.
Um, this this stuff was difficult. It was not difficult like getting along, and not difficult, in ways where it's, oh, there's not enough money to do it. It was just difficult to come back after a long time and really, really think about what is the best way to approach this record and make it, more than anything, doesn't have to be the heaviest thing in the world, doesn't have to be the most precious thing in the world. It just has to be meaningful. There's no point in doing it if it's not meaningful. And for myself, I mean, I got so much meaning out of this this record that, like, I'm an emotional mess just talking about it. It's crazy. And I not normally like that, but it is like it's it's heavy. It's just life is heavy. And I think it's heavy now for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah,
And and it makes me happy that there was something we were able to kind of like bring in that people were like stoked on. Just
cool.
even if it's like a handful of people that they're just stoked on it, that makes me happy. I'm stoked about that.
Cool. Well, Jamie, it's been an absolute pleasure doing this. Like, I am very glad that we got to talk. You made like I said, I don't care. You made one of the albums of the year for me. I hope there is another record, because I will be very disappointed if I have to wait another 20 something years, because I don't know if I'm going to be around in 20 something years.
Me neither. Me
Yeah.
neither. I don't know. Take your vitamins, buddy.
Yeah. I'm hoping sooner than later. But yeah, like I said, Vessel is just fantastic. I've been going back and listening to older stuff too, and it's really interesting to hear younger There Were Wires than like
Wild,
now.
right?
Yeah, it's a very different kind of thing, and I don't think it would have been as cool to me if I heard it the proper way than in reverse. I think it's way cooler in reverse. Uh, but yeah, like if you guys do a show, or like, let me know, because I would love to be able to be there and see it, because like that's one of the things. I know I'm in Vegas, but like, I'll fly to Boston to see you guys. I used to live out in New England. I don't care. I'll go hang out with
Oh,
you.
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, yeah. I lived in Providence, Rhode Island for like almost 5 years. So like I said, I'll go visit some old friends. I don't care. We'll make a
Dude,
night. Yeah. But no, thank you again so much for this. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you, and again, hanging out and doing this on the doorway too. So
I love it, man. Thank you very much. We really appreciate the support. And yeah, really nice to meet you. And if anything we do interesting, I'll make sure I keep you in the loop. I
please,
promise.
thank you so much. You have a great night, man.
All right, man. Have a good one. Take care.